Well, welcome everyone. Hopefully you all had a great holiday break. To start out the year, I thought it'd be a good idea to touch on a topic that would benefit those of you that are either in charge of printing credentials or ensuring the software is installed and the equipment is set up correctly to print ID cards. Now, due to the time and the varied printers that you may have, this training is going to be high level and it's not going to go into the complete details in certain areas. Certain areas I will cover in detail, and others I'm going to just um, kind of blanch over that, only because it's very different between the different printers that you'll have. Also on this call, I will not be troubleshooting anything in the training due to time. I will, however, provide contact information at the end of the training in which you can get assistance from a support technician. Let me just add in all the additional individuals that just joined in. Okay. Just make sure if you have not muted, please make sure you mute yourself. Thank you very much. Okay, so in our agenda for today, what we're going to cover is the printing process from start to finish. This is going to include how to install and activate the print control software, installing the printer driver. This is an area where I will be briefly highlighting over that. How to configure your printer settings. For this section, we are only going to be looking at our current printer offerings, which is the IDP Smart 51 series and the Zebra ZD421 printers. We're going to look at the standard designs available, how to print the credentials, and then some best practices. And at the end, I will talk about how to request remote support as well as replacement license keys. All right, so when it comes to printing any kind of Salamander Live credential, this is all going to be done through our Salamander Live system. On top of needing access to Salamander Live, you're going to also need the print control software installed and activated on the computer with the license key. That license key is provided to you by Salamander or by one of your account administrators that's providing you that. Okay, you'll want to have the printer driver installed and the print settings configured with your selected card design. Now, if you want the ability to print from multiple computers, you're going to need print control installed on each computer, as well as have a separate license key for each. You're going to want to have your media loaded and ready to print a sample. So your media can be hard cards, it can be labels, in which this case it could be the 2x1 to print asset management labels. It could be the 1x10 to print wristbands. Now, a little thing about the print control license key, this is a one-time purchase and allows you to print from one location, one computer. Okay, so we are printer agnostic. That being said, if you have a need for a printer and supplies, you can source them through us or through your local rep. Okay. So step one here is to download and activate the print control software. And then of course activate it with your license key. So the print control software, this is Salamander's proprietary printing software and allows you to print all different types of ID designs from Salamander Live. Again, I'll showcase what those different designs are. Now to print those designs from Salamander Live, print control has to be installed on the computer and activated with that license key. Once installed, only that computer will have access to print from Salamander Live. Our current version for print control is this version right here. As you see, it's 5.0.10.0. So if you have an older version, when you log into Salamander Live and you try to print, this will pop up. Any updates to print control that we make are communicated through our monthly bulletins and or direct emails. So to download print control, what you're going to do is you're going to need to log into Salamander Live. You're going to click the checkbox next to the record and then click print. And then you're going to click on the version 5.0.10.0 print control to download the software and run the wizard. Okay, so this process, it takes anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes and will require PC administration rights. So if you don't have those rights, make sure that your IT is either remote with you or there physically to help you with the download. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up my Salamander Live here, walk you through that process. So what you're going to do is you're going to log into Salamander Live. Make sure your login has administrative access for you to print. So you're going to click on any record. So either go to people, go to equipment. It doesn't really matter in this case. So all you're going to do is you're going to click the checkbox next to a person. And then you're going to click the print button at the top there. And this is what you're going to see. You're going to see print control update available. Again, it's always going to say that whether you have it downloaded or not. Okay. 1 second, I want to make sure that everybody is accepted in. Okay. So once you have this screen up, all you're going to simply do is click on download the version. You're going to get the little pop-up up here. I'm using Firefox. So I'm clicking print control to open this up. It's going to be an executable file. Click OK, and you're going to see the print wizard pop up. Okay. Now, before you do this, if this is not your first time installing, and let's say you were looking at transferring your license to a new computer, and this is the reason why you're reinstalling print control, if you are using custom designs, okay, you must back up your custom designs. Reinstalling this will remove your saved design files, okay? So if this is done on the same computer. If you are doing it on a new computer, obviously there's no files in there. You don't have to worry about that. Hopefully you have that backed up somewhere. So I highly recommend if you're using custom designs, put that onto a server, copy that, put that on a flash drive so you always have a copy, okay? Let me show you where the design files are located for those that have custom designs. So where it's located is going to be in your C drive. Right, so you see C drive right here, and then you're going to go to, so you go to C drive and you're going to see this folder called program data. Now by default for Microsoft, it's hidden. Okay, by default, you have to unhide this folder. How to do that? I'm using Windows 10. So if you're using Windows 7, Windows 11, it may be a little bit different. But you should have some tabs at the top here, and you should see where it says View. Simply click on that. And then it's the fourth column, you're going to see a checkbox for hidden items. Make sure that is selected. Okay, all you do is click it, and then it should open up and allow you to see a folder called Program Data. Click on that folder, so simply double click, and then you're going to scroll down until you'll see Salamander. Okay, so this is if you already had Salamander Live print control installed. Okay, this is how you're going to go back and grab those design files. So click on Salamander, and then you should see a folder called IDs Plus. This is going to be the same folder. So if you're brand new to this and you're installing print control for the very first time, this is basically what it's doing. It's installing this new folder called IDs Plus onto your computer. Okay. So simply click on IDs Plus, and then you'll see a folder called Design Files. So for those that are using custom designs and doing a transfer, all you do is right click, copy that, throw it into a server, throw it to a flash drive so you have a copy of your design files, okay? Very important. All right, so going back to this here, double check to make sure if there's any questions, which I do see some popping up right here. Do you have to have the most current version of Windows to download the latest Print Wizard version? For most cases, yes. Sometimes the print control software, not only that, your printer may not work if you don't have the newest version. So make sure that your computer is always updated. Okay, so if you need IT assistance with that, make sure you get your IT online, have them update your computer so that your computer is always working. There have been times where Microsoft has done updates, which has halted and stopped your printer from working. And then after a update, everything starts working fine. Okay, so where do you find the print control wizard? The print control wizard is within Salamander Live. So where you're getting this is you log into Salamander Live. So you're going into Salamander Live, logging in. You're clicking on people over here. So you click on people, you can click on equipment, it really doesn't matter in this case, but you have to click on one of these databases to get to a print button. Okay, so either people, equipment, assignments, collections, it really doesn't matter. Simply click on a checkbox next to a person's record to get that print button. Okay, so the print control software is located in this print button. Okay, so when you click on that, that's where it's going to pop up this update. Okay, so this update, you're going to install it. So you're going to download the print control, which is going to save a file onto your computer. Mine goes up here because I'm using Firefox. So I have my print control file and downloaded. I click on that, and that's what's going to pop up my wizard. Okay, so hopefully you have that. So Bridget, hopefully that answers your question on where I got the print control wizard. So once in the wizard, all you're going to simply do is click next. And then you're going to get this end user license agreement. You can read through it if you want to. All you're going to simply do on here is I accept the terms in the license agreement. Click that checkbox, which is going to activate the next button. And then this is where you kind of need to take a look at your account. Are you using custom designs? If you're under a state implementation and the state is requiring you to use their custom designs, you don't want to install tag templates. So the package, the wizard, in this case for print control, includes all of our standard designs. Okay, if you click this checkbox, it will install our standard designs. Okay, but if you're using custom designs, don't install our tag designs because you will have already a file that has all of your custom designs in there, which you will grab and then throw into the folder within your program data folder. And I'll walk you through that process in a bit here. Okay. I want to make sure there's one more person. Okay. So I'm going to install my tag designs because I don't have any custom. I'm using all the standard. And then it should automatically go to direct to card templates. Okay. You'll never need to select retransfer templates. We don't use those anymore. Okay. So you're going to click install tag templates if you're looking to use our standard designs, and then make sure that direct to card templates is selected. Okay. Don't worry about the example printers. It's just giving you samples of older printers. Okay. Most of your printers should be direct to card. Okay. You're going to click next, and then you're going to install. Okay, so all you're doing is you're going to click on the install button to install the print control software. You're going to get, you can't see it on my screen here, but it's going to say, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? Just make sure you click yes, and it's going to install print control. Okay. It really doesn't take that long, depends on how fast or slow your computer is, but it should complete the print control setup wizard, and you're going to click finish. Now mine already has the license key activated. I just did an uninstall and did a reinstall here to walk you through this process. But in this case, if this was a true reinstall or true new install, you would get a little box up here that asks for the license key. Okay, so you have to enter or copy that from the email that you get from us, from our operations team, or from whoever's providing you this license key. You're gonna enter that license key into that license key activation box and then click activate. Once you click activate, the screen in here is going to disappear and it'll bring you back to your main screen. Okay. So in my case, I'm just clicking finish and print. And then this is the screen that you're going to get. This is the screen that you're going to get. So this means that you have completely installed print control and your license key has been activated when you get this print settings screen. Okay. Now, in this case, your designs down here, it depends on whether you installed our standard designs or if you have custom. So if you have if you installed our standard tag templates, you should have all of them listed here, just like this. Okay. If you're using custom designs, your design list may be empty. It's because you need to go and grab those design files that were provided to you by the state or by your account, and you need to install them onto your computer. Okay. How you do that is the same as what I talked about before. Okay. All you're doing is you're going to your Windows C drive, clicking on Program Data, clicking on Salamander. You should have a IDs Plus folder now that you installed Print Control. And then all you're going to do is drag and drop or copy the design files folder into this IDs Plus folder. So here's the pathway at the top here. Windows C, Program Data, Salamander, IDs Plus. The file should be called exactly Design Files. Do not name it Design Files -2-1 Master. It's got to be Design Files. Okay. And you should only have one in here. If you click on that, you should see all your design files. The name of all your different designs is how you save them, or how your account or how the state has saved it. Okay. And those are all mine. Okay. Questions on the process for installing print control. Again, this is a question that we get all the time from either new customers or even for support calls, or even on replacement license keys where we're switching out computers due to getting a new computer and they need to install print control. Okay, so everything for print control is within SalamanderLive when it comes to the software. No questions? All right, so the next step on here, now that you installed print control, the next step in this case is to install the printer driver. Okay, so with some printers, you can simply plug the printer into the computer and it will automatically install the necessary drivers. However, for others, you're going to possibly need to manually install the driver from the printer manufacturer website. Now, the latter is true in the case of the Smart IDP 51 series and the Zebra ZD421 printers that we offer here at Salamander. So if you have those printers, you purchase those printers from us, or even any of the older Zebra printers that you purchase from us, just know that those, you'll have to download the drivers from the manufacturer website. Okay, so we have a ton of user guides that you can reference the installation process. All of that is available within SalamanderLive and our Salamander University. You can also go to the manufacturer website, which has all of the install guides, the processes, the steps. They detail all of that for you. Okay, now, as each printer is different, I will not be walking you through step by step through this process. If you need assistance, you can reach out to Salamander support or your local support technician for assistance. Okay. The install process for your printer driver can take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes and will require, again, PC administration rights. One thing to note in a manual install, if you're doing that, make sure the printer is on and not plugged into the computer. That's very important. Make sure it's not plugged in. That will cause issues with the driver installation. So I have here the websites. So on here, I've got the websites for the printers that we provide, that we offer here at Salamander. So here we have the IDP. So you can just go to idp-corp.com, search for your printer, which is normally going to be the 51 series. We have a couple of them. You've got the 51S, which is a single-sided printer, which you can purchase, but most likely you're going to have the 51D, which is a dual-sided printer. Okay, so prints front and back. And there you've got the user manuals you can download. There's a product catalog. Okay, and then if you scroll down, you'll see the installation. Okay. And there's the user manual, which I've downloaded in here. So this just walks you through. It's on page 27 that walks you through the driver installation. Okay, so it goes through all the steps here for you. For Zebra, you can go to the Zebra website. And this is, again, what I have up here is for the ZD421, which is our newest Zebra printer. They've are not selling the 430T anymore. So if you have the 430T, it's the same process, okay, for installing the driver. There's no difference to that. Just make sure that you're installing the correct driver in here. So Zebra's website's kind of nice because it kind of separates everything out. So you got your drivers right here, kind of walks you through it so you can download the driver. Okay. And then they also have this desktop thermal printer setup and everything that you need to have. Okay. All right. Any questions on that there? Do you need to keep the printer updated? Yes, you do. You should. The printer will tell you if there's an update, and you'll need to go in there. Or if you notice that your printer's not working, you probably want to go in and update it. The updates, it just really depends on your computer or on your printer. For the most part, the printer drivers, if they need to be updated, they can be done through the control panel through printing preferences. If not, if the printer says that it's got to be installed from the website, you can go to the website and install the update from there. So good question. All right, so once you have the printer driver installed, okay, once you have that all installed, of course, you want to make sure that your ribbon's in there, you got your media placed in there, okay, that's all important. Again, if you don't know how to put the ribbon in there, make sure you look at the website. I will showcase the documents that we have that would walk through that, but I know on the IDP printers, in the printer itself, when you open the flap, they have a nice diagram in there that shows you how to place the ribbon in there. Okay, but I know that their website has a step-by-step on that as well. Okay, so Zebras, they have the step-by-step for putting the roller in there. It just depends on what kind of media you're using. So if you're using our wristbands for credentialing, and that's usually through our rapid tag system. That's a dermal direct, so you don't need ribbons for that. But if you're printing on a label, you will need a ribbon, and so it kind of walks you through the process for installing that. Okay? And the same thing with this too. It walks you through the ribbon setup. Here it is. So sorry, I just went through that really fast, but it's page 19 on their manual. So the print settings. So there's multiple steps with this. It's not as easy as plug and play for the most part because you have to configure your printer settings to make sure that it's going to print based off of the tag design that you've selected. Okay, and this is all going to be done through the control panel. You could just go to settings and then to devices and printers, but personally, on the support side, we like going through the control panel to make the changes. Okay, so to configure print settings, this is again after your printer's been installed, your printer driver's installed, print control has been set up. You have to go into your computer. You can go into your search box. You can type control panel and then select control panel from the results. Okay, so that's the easiest way to get to your control panel. You should have that search box right next to your start button. And then you're going to click on view devices and printers. So I'm going to do that really quick here so you can see. I know it's on my other screen, so I'm not going to be able to pop it up for you. Okay. So when you do that, you get this screen, just like what you see on here. I don't have an actual printer set up on mine, but you should see something that's similar to this here when you click on View Devices and Printers. You should see your printer listed, okay? Now, one thing before I continue on here is about your printer and the USB port in which it's installed on. Printers are very picky, okay? So once you pick a USB port to install the printer on, make sure that you plug that printer into that same USB port every single time. That is extremely important. I recommend if it's not labeled, labeled it in some way, put a sticker, colored sticker at the end of that USB cable and on your port on your computer so that you know that that is the port that it has to be plugged in every single time. This is for those that have a laptop that are moving out and about and they're unplugging the printer, a computer that's not stationary. Make sure you do that. Because if you don't do that and you plug it into a different USB port, you're going to need to reinstall the driver. And you're going to see in here, when you go in here, you're going to have a copy of another printer. Okay, so that's a lot of issues that we see. We get a lot of support calls, and we'll see that sometimes we'll see 3, 4, 5 of the same printer in there because they've got multiple USB ports that they're plugging it in. So that's extremely important. Okay. So printing preferences. So you're going to right click your printer, select printing preferences. Okay. In this case, you're going to click printing preferences. You could also click on printer properties just to make sure that your printer is working, that's connected. You could click on printer properties in this case, and then you could print out a sample, like a test, which you definitely could do before you go in and set up your printing preferences. Okay, so completely up to you. It's optional. Personally, for me, I like setting up my printing preferences and then printing a sample from SalamanderLive. But if you're not sure if you installed everything correctly and you want to do a test print first before you go in and set up your settings, you can go into printer properties and then do a test print. There should be a window that pops up that says do a test print. So the next screens on here, I'm going to be walking through for the Smart 51 series. Again, if you have a different printer, it's going to be a little bit different on where things are located, the information that's going to pop through. For the most part, they're kind of the same across the board. It just really, again, depends on the options for your printer as well as the supplies that you're using. Okay, so here are the configurations for 51 printer series. So what you're going to do is it's going to pop up this printing preferences. You'll have these different tabs. First one is layout. And the layout, if you're using our standard designs or if your design is in portrait mode, you're going to just select portrait. Now, if you have a custom design and your custom design, your card is landscape, you want to make sure that you select landscape from the drop down. Okay, again, it depends on your design that you've selected for printing. And then if you have a front and back, make sure you click a front and a back. Most of our standard designs have a front and a back. Next tab is input and output. This one's very simple. Supply is going to be auto, and then the tray is going to be the CR80 Smart. So CR80 is just the type of card. That's the CR80 2x3 hard card. Okay. The next one is going to be printing. So this is where a lot of the changes is going to happen. Okay. So in this case, for the 51 series, it's do printing. So check mark do printing, and then print side, both top and bottom. Okay, so again, this is for the dual-sided printer. You'll see the font on here, color, flip not used, standard. Our back side is black and white. Again, if you have on the flip side, you have color, you want to make sure that you select color. Okay. So you see in this case, it's mono because on our standard design, it's all black in the back. And then ribbon, depending on what ribbon that you have. Okay, so this is just the YMCK OK. Okay, it's a colored printer or colored ribbon. So this is just the options there. Once you're done with this, you don't have to go to load and save. Once you're done setting up your printing settings, simply click apply and then click OK, which is going to save all your settings. Next on here is the ZD421, this setup. Mine, I've got it set up for a wristband, but again, you can set this up for your asset management labels. So if you're doing your asset management labels, those are 2x1. So in this case, your width and your height would be set up differently in this case. So I've got this set up for a rapid tag wristband. So that's why the width is 1 and the height is 10. For asset management, your width would be 2, your height is 1 because it's 2 inches long, 1 inch tall. Okay, so in this case, you're going to do page setup in there and you're going to do custom. You'll see that for the zebra settings, they're pretty much very similar to this. It just has a different look. Now, in the past, all their settings were at their tabs were at the top. Now they're at the side on here. So media type labels with black mark, rotation 0 because it's going to be portrait, no offset. Okay, again, the printer settings got to match up your actual supplies that you're using for your print job and the options on your printer. So depending on what your printer is plugged into, whether that is SalamanderLive, you're looking at printing cards, which you can print if you set up a different type of printer. Okay, so your wristbands or your 2x1 labels. Next is the print options. So this is where you're looking at speed, you're looking at darkness. We have set it up at 4.0 and then which is 4.0 4 seconds. Darkness is 15 and we're looking at direct thermal. So you're going to have two options on here. Direct thermal, which means that it doesn't use a ribbon because our wristbands, it actually just heats up the header and then it just prints it right onto the wristband. If you're using a label such as the 2x1 asset management label, inventory label, that's going to be a direct transfer. Okay, so you'll need to put in your ribbon and then you'll need to select your print mode and select that to direct transfer. Okay, so that it's going to print on that label and versus heating up the header to print. Offsets in this case, it's right now we're going to set up to 0, but in the case later down the line, if you're transporting your printer and it gets bumped and such, you may have to align, and this is where you do the alignments. Okay, the top and the left is to align it and make sure that it's printing centered on your actual tag itself. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Go back. Backfeed, default, no pause, and then standard, and then start print time. And that's really that simple. Okay. Once you have that, you're going to go to maintenance. Now, maintenance in this case, the only reason why you'd ever go on here once you do the setup is to calibrate. So once you have all your settings set up on there, you're going to click apply. So you make sure you click apply in the screen here. I forgot to mention that. Click apply. And then you're going to go to maintenance, which is the next screen on here. And you're just going to calibrate. Okay, so it's going to calibrate based off of your settings that you have. And then again, you just click apply again and click OK. And you'll see there's an option for printing a test page right here as well. So those are the print settings, and it kind of gives you an idea of what you're needing to do depending on your media type and the printer that you have. So again, every printer, the settings are going to be a little bit different. You just have to make sure that that matches up with what type of tag design you're printing. That's the most important thing. They got to match up so that they can actually print. If they don't match up, that's when your printer is just going to stall and do nothing. Once you have your printer settings set up, next is to do and then you've done a test print in this case if you want to, just make sure your printer is actually connected. Next is to actually do a test print of an ID card. So in this case, let's take a look at the standard IDs that we have here. So we do allow you to create your own custom designs, which we've talked about already. You can do that by having us design it for you. There's a small fee for that, or you can purchase our ID designer software and then you can design it yourself. So many options there, okay? But even with custom designs, we do encourage you to use our standard designs, as these are starting to become the national standard. In our standard design, we have common color variations that are available and are named for the specific organization type to use with the color. And these are all printed on that CR80 size 2x3 hard card. Okay. So you'll see in here, EM is yellow, fire is red. Again, this is the standard. So if you select our card emergency management, it's going to be this design right here. If you select our card fire, this will be this design. It's going to pull in your logo that you've set up for the organization. So the organization name is printed at the top there. And then the logo that you have within the organization profile. Again, if you don't have a logo, you have no logo printed there. And then depending on the person that you selected, their picture, if it's uploaded, will print here. You'll have the issue date, which is the date that you select for printing, the expiration date, which is completely up to you on what you want to set up for the ID card to expire, the person's title, if captured in their record, their name, the industry is printed here, and then the QR code. So this QR code, again, as you know, this is an interoperable QR code that contains a lot of information, which then can be scanned into any of our tracking applications, including our inventory apps. So track app, tag app, inventory app, rapid tag evac, command. All right, so some best practices for printing before I walk you through the printing process. So first things first, always do a test print to ensure everything's aligned, your graphics look nice, and the design meets your needs. Okay, the last thing you want to do is print a bunch of cards to find out it's the wrong design. Okay, very important. Second thing, when batch printing, we recommend doing a max of 100 at a time. And really the reason for this is spool time. The more records you're printing, the longer it's going to take to organize and pass information over to your printer. You'll see when you print, there's this little spooler that pops up. Again, it may not pop up for a while. It just depends on how many you're printing at that time frame. Also, another thing to note is that when you're batch printing, a single tag design is going to be applied to all the records within that batch. Okay. So just make sure that when you're batch printing that that your one design is going to make sense for all those records that you've selected. And I don't know why that is there, so apologize. Last but not least, it's recommended that you clean your printer on a regular basis. So like for example, a color ribbon, it's best to perform a cleaning cycle when you replace the ribbon. This is always a recommendation. Clean the printer. What it does is just eliminates any printer downtime, any issues. The color ribbons, they normally come with a cleaning card and a new roller when you purchase the printer. And most ribbons have about 200, I would say 200 to 300 prints. But again, just check the ribbon packaging. It should list the total expected prints on the ribbon itself. All right, so I'm going to log into SalamanderLive and walk you through the printing process. So let me just close that out. Let me pull up SalamanderLive here. I'm going to log in. So once you're ready for printing, you're going to log into SalamanderLive. Make sure that you have printing permissions. Okay, so obviously if you're an administrator, you have printing permissions. If you are data entry only, make sure that your account administrator gives you printing access, and all that's done through security users over here. Okay, so for those that don't have, that are just data entry, when you go in here, I'm just select one real quick on here. There is a role in here that is specifically for printing. You see resource print only. If you have data entry individuals in here, and you also want them to print, you must also add in another role for printing. If you're in a different in one of the states that have customized roles, make sure that you verify, with your actual account administrator to make sure that that allows them for printing. You also see that when you actually select a role, there's this little info icon that pops up. You can click on that, and that will give you a little chart on that role and what they have access to. So you can see on here, they're able to read those records, and then they're able to print. So they can print people, they can print equipment, collections, and assignments. Okay. So that's basically telling them they're able to print. But they can't, if they just have this role, they can't edit any information. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go to my personnel records. So first things first, when you're looking at printing, make sure I'm going to clear out my organizations right here. When you're printing, you want to make sure that you have that each record has all the information, okay? Has all the information in there. So again, the information I'm going to pull up on the user guide. So this user guide is our tag default design. There's a bunch of different standard design that comes with that print control that I talked about. I only cover the hard card, okay? So these are the hard cards right here, and you'll see the list of everything that's in there. So this is what you want to make sure that those records you're looking at printing has this information first. Okay, make sure that the organization has a logo, make sure that they've got a photo uploaded, they've got their title in there. If you want qualifications printed on the back of the ID card, make sure that qualifications and certifications are assigned to the person. Okay, so you want to make sure all that is complete for every single record you're looking at printing. Once you're ready to print, you can, especially if you have, if your account's a larger account and you're in charge of printing for multiple organizations, I recommend by printing by organization, or you can print by industry, whichever case. But personally for me, I like printing by organization. I print one organization and move on to next organization, so on and so forth. Okay. So if you have access to multiple organizations, just go to the organization name column. And then you can click on it to pull down the sort and filter option. And then you're going to filter by that organization. So in this case, I'm going to look at Moosewood. So I got a bunch of them in here. I'm going to look at Moosewood Emergency Management. See how many people I have in here. Perfect. I've got 18 people in here. Okay. At a glance, I already know that there's a bunch of them that don't have titles in here. You see that? Again, these columns are controlled by you, the user. Under the, or up here at the top right, there is an option called Edit Columns. Okay, see Edit Columns right there? Edit Columns. You want to add the columns information just to make sure that you have everything there. So that's why I have title in there. I can have profile image. Okay, I can double check to make sure if there's an image uploaded. Station is not included in the printing station. This is all not included. Okay, I can double check qualifications. So you can go through and add all the areas just to make sure that everything has been, is there. Okay. Once you have everything, it adds it to the side here. You can click, drag, and drop to reorganize in any way that you need to. Okay. Once you're done, simply click done, and it's going to refresh, and now you have it. See this? So I already see that there's a bunch of people that don't have pictures uploaded. So I probably don't want to do a batch printing yet because that's just going to waste a lot of your cards. Okay, so you want to make sure that it all says true in here, that they've got a picture uploaded, they've got a title in there, okay, and they've got the qualifications listed. Okay. So let's just pretend that, yes, they have them. I'm going to select the ones that actually do. So again, you could do a test print first, meaning select the one person first that you want to print. So I'm going to look at Miss Ann Alexander right here. You have two options. Best way is just to click the checkbox next to their name, just like how we did to install print control. You're going to click the print button. You're going to get the print settings window. You're going to select your printer. So if your printer is installed on this computer, you should see your printer listed. Obviously, I don't have a printer, any of the printers listed on here. So mine, I always just print a PDF. Okay. So again, and again, you can have a multiple printers set up, right? For example, we have designs that print onto paper. Those are the 8.5 by 11. So I can choose to print to my paper copier machine. I can print to my card printer. Again, just make sure that you select the correct printer. And then your design. What design are you looking at printing? Make sure the design that you select matches up with the configurations you've done within your printer preferences. Okay, so any of these 2x3s, these art card ones, they're perfectly fine. And you'll see in here that there's 2 designs for every single one. The reason for that is one has the medical barcode, one does not. Okay, so it depends on whether or not you want that medical barcode printed on the back of the ID card. Okay. So I'm going to say no, I'm not going to have the medical barcode printed. So I'm going to select our card, Emergency Management No Med. Make sure you select the correct agency in this case, which you'll see here, Emergency Management. Make sure it's Emergency Management. Number of copies, you can select whatever copies you want. The issue date will always pull today's date, the date that you're printing. Can you backdate it? Absolutely. And then you have the expiration date. When do you want this card to expire? So I last printed, so this is the last expiration date I used, which was 1/17/2029. It's completely up to your agency on whether or not you want to put an expiration date on your ID cards. We recommend it. You can do anywhere from 1 to 5 to 10 years. We've got a lot of agencies out there that do 5 years. We have some that do every 2, 3 years. Completely up to you. There's no right or wrong on this case. Okay. You have this option over here where it says use existing issue and expiration date. That there is for reprints. So you only use that for reprinting. So if you select that, it's going to print the last saved issue and expiration date. And I'll show you where you can find that information. It's in the actual record itself. Okay. Once you're ready, simply click print. Okay. Simply click print, and it should spit out a test sample to your printer. You see down here, this is the print spooler right here. So I only printed one, so it should pop up pretty quickly. Okay. I'm printing the PDF. That's why mine pops up as a PDF. Throw it into whatever folder that you need to. Now, if you're printing to your actual printer, it should start, you should hear your printer running and it should spit out the card. Okay, depending on what design that you have and what kind of printer you have. If you have a single-sided, it'll just spit out the card after it prints on one side. If it's dual-sided, it'll print the first side and then run it back and then print the back side. Okay. So that's printing 1. What you do is you take a look at that ID card. Does it have everything that you need on there? Does the picture, does the logo, does everything look good? Okay. If everything looks good and you're like, I'm ready to batch printing is super simple. In this case, you don't need to print this person anymore. You can select everybody else. So down at the bottom, you have your pagination. You can select your pagination down here. I have 18, so I can just do 30 if I want to, but I'm just going to leave it at 100. Okay. Leave mine at 100. Select your pagination. Select everybody. All you do is click the checkbox, the very first checkbox, and that's a select all option. Selects everybody in there. Again, you're double checking, making sure that all the information is filled out for all your people that you're looking at printing. Once they're all set in here, all you do is click print again. You get the print settings window, and then you should see the same setup. So your settings actually stay from your last print job. So you see in here, I've got emergency management, no med already selected. My issue and expiration date stayed from my last print job. So always double check first before you just click print. Okay, always double check. Once everything is good, just simply click print. And then depending on how many you're printing, again, if you do 100, you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes for spooling time. So it may look like it's not doing anything, just don't print anything anymore, okay? Just leave your printer and everything as is. It'll start kicking in. Once it prints in, you should see that print spooler down the bottom, and then you'll start hearing your printer going. That means that it's getting ready, warming up to print. Also, if your printer has been on for a while, you just turn it on. It might take a little bit to warm up before it starts printing, okay? So that is batch printing. Once you have printed, Once you have printed, in this case, inside the actual record itself, if I go to Alexander's card, you'll see here you'll have the issued and expires, and you have copies printed. That's all within the person's profile. You can also find this within that edit columns option as well. So that tells you exactly if they've got any cards printed. So like, for example, I can go up here to edit columns. You can scroll down. Okay. And you can look at, see here, print copies right here. And they'll tell you whether or not they've had any cards printed, especially if this is your first time going there printing. If obviously if you're reprinting, that person, may have a higher number in this case. And of course you have tag issue, tag expiration that you could add in there to kind of help you figure that out as well. So you have those options. So that is printing from Salamander Live. The printing of personnel records is the same thing as printing for equipment. There's no difference in that process for how to actually print. Now, the design you're going to select is obviously going to be a little bit different depending on the media you chose to print your equipment. Okay, so whether that's asset management and you're looking at printing all your inventory, you're more than likely printing it onto your label printer, which is going to be using the 2x1 labels if that's the case that you're using. So you want to make sure your print settings are set up that way. You have the correct printer plugged in. Okay, and then you want to make sure that when you go in here to print equipment or whatever it is that you're printing, make sure you have the correct design selected. It matches up with your print settings. Very important. These are probably the #1 questions we get when we get support calls. And it's everything related to printing. A lot of times it's because there's a mismatch of information, and that's the reason why it's not working or printing. A lot of times it's the printer driver is not functioning and needs an update, or it's simply because you've got a new computer and you need everything reinstalled. Any questions so far in what we've covered for batch printing? See a question on here. Can you batch print an organization? No, you cannot. Organizations is one area that you do not do any printing from. The organizations that you've entered in here is to basically link your records to. So your people, equipment, collections, assignments that you're creating, those are linked back to these organizations. The organizations themselves are printed on the personnel equipment collection ID cards or designs once you've have those records set up. Another question, can you have a badge printer and an asset printer hooked up at the same time without issues? Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. Obviously, you're going to have them plugged in 2 separate USB ports. Just make sure they're plugged in to the same USB ports every single time. The difference with this, Carrie, for your question is that when you go to print, in here, you would just want to make sure that you select the correct printer. So you see this. So you'll see that when you have both printers set up, they will be listed in your printer dropdown. You want to make sure that you select the correct printer for it to print. Okay. Because the printing settings that you set up is for that printer, right? So if you have 2 computers set up in here in your printer options, I'm going to go. Oh, let me go back in here to my control panel. Okay. Your control panel, you'll have your 2 printers set up, right? You'll have your card printer, and then you'll have your asset management or label printer. You'll have both of them set up. You'll have to go in and set up your printing preferences for each, depending on what you select on here. So if you selected your asset management or your inventory printer, your label printer, it's going to choose whatever, the design that you select to just make sure it matches up with what you set up in your printing preferences. Can you remove designs that are not in use for your entity? Absolutely, you can. Absolutely. Now, just note that if you delete them, you're not going to get them back unless you save them somewhere else. Okay, so especially if these are custom designs, I'd probably have a master saved somewhere. How you delete those is all done through this right here. So it's again going back to that program data folder. So Windows C, program data, Salamander, IDs plus, and design files. So this right here, this is where it's Salamander Live, that print control is pulling all those designs from. So if you don't want some of these, just simply go in here and delete it. Hopefully that answers your question, Rebecca. Carrie C, are you just limited by the number of ports of the computer in regards to how many printers you have hooked up at once? For instance, can you have 2 different badge printers and an asset printer all connected into the same port? You could, if they're plugged in at different times, absolutely. But
no, I was just wondering if we were limited. I want to have our printer, our backup printer, and our asset printer all hooked up at the same time, just because we've had numerous issues with our printer. So our old Steady Eddie backup printer, I don't want to take it out. I'd like to keep them all hooked up at the same time.
absolutely, you can. As long as you have the right number of ports in there, you can get the port extender. Sometimes those you're going to have to be a little careful on if you have the USB hubs. Sometimes they're a little picky. They may not like that, so you can try that out. But yeah, as long as you have the right number of ports to set that up, feel free to. No issues there. Any other questions? All right, so what I want to go through next here is going to be on remote support. I want to make sure I cover this. We've got documentation on here. I'll show you where those are, but I want to talk about remote supports, which, in this case, if you're running into issues with your installation, whether that's print control or your printer driver, whatever that is, there are a couple ways you can request for support. There's the first way is by emailing us, by using that help feature within Salamander Live. That's the preferred method. The next one is you can call Salamander support by our phone number right there. And then the third option is you can go through our website. The reason why we have the help feature here first is because many times our calls may be backed up, and if you keep calling and it just goes into voicemail, it's usually because we're behind on our calls. And so if you do the help ones, we get that right away, and then you'll be next in line for us to follow up on. Now, Salamander support, and we cover everything from issues from the printer, replacement license key, interfaces with the application, operating systems. Okay, and just know that we are on a limited 24/7 basis. So after our support, then it may require follow up during normal business hours, or it could be a scheduled appointment. It just really depends. So remote support, emailing. So simply just log into Salamander Live and then you click on email support. The biggest thing on here is to enter in the details. The details in this case really helps us out in trying to figure out what the issue is so we can come back with a resolution as soon as we can. If not, then we'll have to call you and then we'll have to get all the details. So a description of the issue, what steps have you taken so far to fix the issue, and then steps that we can use to replicate it, because that's usually the big thing, is whether or not we can duplicate that. Okay. So again, that is going right here to Salamander Live. You're going to the help function out on the bottom here, and you'll see that there's an option for email support. If you go through here, the great thing is that it fills in a lot of your information already. So it fills in your first name, your last name, your organization, and your email address. All you have to do is really fill in your phone number, the subject line, and the description. So really like this one here. Second option is calling. So if you ever need to call us, our phone number is right here online here. You can save us as favorite on your phone as well. But here we are right here. It's 877 number. And then it's option 1 for support. The third option is going to our website. So the website in this case, you go to salamanderlive.com and you're going to do the contact us. And then in here, you can drop a message right here. So this is your subject, your request information, what product, your name, information, same thing. And your description is going to be what issues you're running into, what you've done so far. Now I do have this that talks a little bit about replacement license keys. So, and I know I touched on this earlier before. So one thing is that when you install a print key onto a computer, that print key is no longer, it can't be reused. Okay, it's a one-time use. So if you get a new computer or your computer breaks down, you need to get this onto a new computer, or or you're switching it from one user to another. That's basically transferring of a license. So when you do that, you're going to need to reinstall all the software onto the new computer. You need to reinstall the printer driver. You got to do the whole thing again, all over again. But the main thing on here also is that you need to get a replacement license key from Salamander. So what we do is we deactivate your old license key and we get you a new license key, and we'll send it over to you, okay, through email. The process for this, it's the same thing. You can use any one of those three options we just talked about, doing that email support through SalamanderLive by calling us or using or going to the contact us on our website, okay? The difference in this is that in the description area, what we'd want you to have is the name of your organization. That really helps us out. The software you're needing to get a replacement license key for, whether that's print control, any of our PC-based software such as RapTag evac, Command, we need to know that. And then any of these three pieces of information, we're going to need one of these to generate that replacement license key. So either the original license key number, the serial number for that license key, or the name of the computer which that license was activated on. So if you have this information, like save it somewhere. So in the case if your computer completely crashes and you can't go in and get the name of your computer, you have that. If you get that email from us that has your old original license key, save that somewhere. And the same thing with that serial number. The serial number is provided to you by our ops team when you first subscribe to Salamander and get that license key. That serial number is listed on there. So either one of those, save that somewhere safe so that when you call us, it's easier for us to kind of find it. Because a lot of times it's like a needle in a haystack for us to go and find specifically which license we need to deactivate, because the last thing we want to do is deactivate the wrong license key. Okay. So that is replacement license key. What questions do you have? It looks like I've got a couple questions on here. Nope, no questions. I have hands up for Tima. Question?
Yes, we had a question on how do you get to basically the Excel sheet for people and to be able to fill a bunch of people out on the Excel sheet and then import that into the system. How do we get to that?
Yes, so you're looking at importing. So the importing process, that importing is under import. So left menu, you should see there's an import button. Simply click on that and you'll see there's two types of imports you can do. You can do people and equipment. So if you're looking at importing people to print off ID cards, just click on people. And then within that people import pop-up, there is two click here buttons. The second click here is where you can get that CSV template.
Okay.
So so you click on there and then there's your template right there.
All right, thank you. And then
You're
we
welcome.
can keep some of those headers, correct?
Yes, you can remove the headers. Do not change the headers. So very important when you're doing imports, do not change the headers, but you can delete the ones that you're not using that are not required. So for people, you have to make sure you leave organization. So you have to fill in organization, name, ID, and first name and last name. So you have to have that for every import. Everything else on here is optional. So if you want to delete all this information because you're not collecting this, feel free to delete it, hide it, whatever you want to. Just kind of helps keep your import file nice and clean.
But I thought there was one column or a couple columns we could customize to put like radio unit numbers and that kind of thing on?
There is. That is the custom fields. So custom fields works a little bit different, okay? So if you're looking at custom fields, I'm just going to add it here. So what you're going to need to do is you need to add, if you have custom fields set up in here, so custom fields are set up down here under settings, right? So under settings right here and under accounts, you have to have account administrative access at the parent level, so the account holder. And then it's down here, custom fields. So one thing you need to note on here is that you can't use the fields that you set up on here. So let's say if it's for people, you can't use can travel, shirt size, hat size, shoe size in your column header name. You got to use custom field 1, custom field 2, custom field 3, custom field 4, and so forth. Okay. So that's what you have to add on here is that in your Excel file, you can insert a column and you're going to type in custom field 1, and then you can do the same thing, custom field 2, 3, 4, whatever, how many custom fields you're looking at importing information for. And then now you just have to go back and double check what is custom field 1. So that was, if I go back in here and double check, custom field 1 was can travel. So the answer in this case, the value would enter in here would be whatever you're looking at using, right? You probably have to build out an SOP for this for your group and what kind of answers they should put in there. Is it yes or no? Is it true or false? So in this case, this would be yes or no, or depending on what you're looking at. Shirt size, yep, same option.
And then how does that get added to the card itself?
The cards themselves, so custom fields are not a part of our standard designs, okay? So if you want these custom fields printed on the standard designs, you have to have a custom design created. Either you can pay a small fee and have us design that for you, or you can purchase our ID designer software and design it yourself. But that does require custom designing. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions on this? Any other questions? Oh, Kelly Garcia, I see your hand up as well.
So on the custom fields, I saw that you added custom field 1, custom field 2. Does it matter where on the Excel spreadsheet that falls?
Nope, it does not.
As well. Okay.
It does not. They can be anywhere. Like your organization name column could be in column I. It doesn't matter. It's just the real ticker on here is that it has to just be exactly this. So like organization name has to be what you, and then underneath here is just going to be the organization names itself. So the column header name has to be exact. So what I recommend you do if you already have an Excel spreadsheet that you're working off on that already has data, what I would do is I would create a row 1 and then copy and paste that column header name onto your template. Make sure it all matches up, and it doesn't matter where it's listed in here.
Okay, you said anything after first name and last name, those can be customized, because I've been leaving those blank and just importing them with nothing. I can actually delete them completely just to clean that up.
Absolutely, delete them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Keeps everything
Okay,
nice and clean. You're welcome.
Perfect, thanks.
Any other questions on either printing or getting your data into the system? All right. Well, I'm going to show you, and I know we're a little bit over, I apologize. I'm going to show you where all these documents are located. So in Salamander University, you go there, and then you have documents. And then there are some documents under the user guide section. So in this case, the default tag designs. So this document right here that kind of gives you a sample of all the different card designs that we have is there. We also have underneath here is the other documents. And this is where you're going to see a lot of that, the installation information. So peripheral setup guide kind of walks you through, and this is this here, kind of walks you through the installation for the Zebra printers, the IDP Smart 31 and 51s, and then Zebra scanners setup. And then you'll also see print control installation guide. So everything we walked through today, you're going to see that, walks you through the entire process. Even shows for, or, you know, talks about verifying systems. We haven't added Windows 11 on here yet. Hardware support, everything that we just walked through, the presentations there, and then replacement license key is all there as well. And then we did create one called cleaning instructions, and this is for the 51 series. Just walks you through that process. And as we add new items in here, you'll see them listed. A lot of them will be under other documents for anything that's related to the technical side of the systems. Oh, I see another question on here. Can you print the qualifications onto the cards as well? Absolutely, you can, Brad. Absolutely. So the card designs themselves include that in there. So as long as you're using any of the ARD card designs, it'll print it on the back of the ID card. So these ARD card designs, so ARD card and then the industry type. So in the back of the ID card, you'll see it right here. And this is the medical and the no med. It's printed right here. It prints the code. So whatever's in the parentheses of that qualification or certification. Swift Pro. Sarah, I'm sorry, I don't understand your question there. Or sorry, I'm sorry, Bridget. Oh, that's the name of your printer. The printer. I mean, we are printer agnostic. It doesn't have to be the printers that we sell here at Salamander. You can basically use any card printer out there, any label printer. Again, just making sure that the printer drivers, they still have them on their manufacturer website so that you can actually download them. But it doesn't really matter what kind of printer you're using. What matters is the design you select. Okay, so as long as your printer, especially if it's you know, you want to make sure it's dual-sided, because a lot of our cards on here, we don't actually have a single-sided hard card design. So you want to make sure that that's a dual-sided printer, so it prints the front and the back. Okay. If you have a single-sided printer, you know, let us know. I know we are working on I mean, it's not something that we have in our standard because most times most people want this information printed, but I know that we are looking at creating a one-sided one because we do sell a single-sided printer. It is a double-sided. Oh, okay. Oh, it was quoted to you by Sally. It could be a new version. I haven't seen the Swift Pro yet. I'll double check with my operations team. I thought I had all the ones in here, so I apologize on that. I'll double check. It could be in our portfolio, and I just don't know about it. I know that we're getting a bunch of new printers because right now all our vendors are having new printers. They're kind of getting rid of all the older printers. Oh, from Brendan. Okay. Yes. For Brendan, if you're wondering about questions, anything from Midwest Card, contact Brendan for the installation and anything that's directly related to that printer to Brendan, because they'll have all the information for that specific printer. So thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, Midwest Card, they take care of all their customers, and they have specific printers that they use as well too, which are different than the ones that we provide here. You could add state specific, region specific, local specific. All that is controlled through qualifications and training. Okay, so this here, you got to make sure that you are an administrator. So qualifications and training, so you can go in here and you'll be able to add any state-specific qualifications, regional, local, other. I have a video on here. I don't have time to showcase this to you only because we're over our time limit and I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. But I do have a video that walks you through this process of adding in your own, state-specific type qualifications, regional, local, other. Okay, so that's all right there. You create the folder and you can add those qualifications right here. The video I have on here is under Salamander University. And then if you go under webinar recordings, I do have one on here that walks you through that process right there. Let's see here. I'll find it for you, and I'll let you know which one it is. It could be this tier 1 one. I want to make sure. Brad, if you want to send me if you want to type in or personally message me your email address, I can send that over to you. My contact information, I'll pull it up on here. You can send that to me. It's training@salamanderlive.com. That just goes into my email box, and I will send you the video link for how to add in those qualifications. Welcome. All right. Any other questions you guys have for me? All right. Well, I just want to thank you all so much for being on this call. It's a great start of the year. I really appreciate you guys and all the questions that you've provided. Just make sure if you have any additional questions or if you run into any issues, if you are doing installations, please do not hesitate to call us. Here's our 24/7 support line right there, option 1. Oh, Rebecca, you had a question. I'm not finding the design files on our computer. We bought the driver from Midwest. The design files, if you are using, they actually have their own custom designs. Contact Brendan, and Brendan can get you the design files, Rebecca. You're welcome, Jade. Yeah, if you are a customer of Midwest Card, they have their own design files. Make sure that you contact them. They will provide you with that design file, and they'll help you install it onto your computer. The ones that we are providing through Salamander, through the print control, if you install the tag designs, that is all the standard designs. Anything outside of that is going to be more custom. They'll install, we just want to edit the list down. Oh, okay. You can edit the list down. Yeah, it's hidden in here, Rebecca. I'm going to pull this up for you on here real quick. Again, I apologize, everybody, if it's taking a little bit longer. C drive. Program data, again, make sure you have hidden items selected. Salamander folder, IDs plus, and then design files. And then you'll see your list. And that's for anybody. If there's cards in here that you just, or designs that you just don't care about, delete them. Just know that if you delete them, you can't get them back, okay? So especially if these are custom ones, we can't get them back. So make sure you save a master copy somewhere still down the line. If you decide that you want to use it again, you have it. All right, you're welcome, Rebecca. All right, everybody, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day. Please take care. Stay warm out there. Have a great day.